Are you planning on retiring mid-year or at some point during the year? If so, you're going to want to make sure that you do this one thing before you retire. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, so when are you going to retire? And I'm not talking about what year, I'm talking about what time of year, what day are you going to retire? In my experience, most people don't retire right at the end of the year. I think from a planning standpoint, you might think that way when you're younger, 40 or 50, whatever. Hey, this is the year I'm going to retire. But when it gets down to, okay, no, specifically what day or what season, what time of year, it matters from a planning standpoint, okay? For a big reason I'll share in just a second. But most people don't retire right at the end of the year. I don't know why that is, but in my 20 years of experience and collectively with our team of, say, 20 advisors, I don't hear a lot of people. It's not like the majority of people, yeah, my last day is, New Year's Eve or whatever. Most people retire at a time near their birthday because that can create a smooth transition into Medicare maybe or something like that. Or maybe it's seasonality. I've had someone that said, I'm going to retire because my golf league starts on a certain day. And I was actually saying, you might want to consider a different time. And they said, no, we're retiring now because the golf league starts. So maybe it's season, maybe it's work season. Maybe you had a big project or something that you needed to finish up, or your business ebbs and flows. And so you've got to get past a certain point, say tax season or something like that, and going to retire after that, something like that. I don't know, but if you are planning on retiring at a midway point of the year, and I'm not talking about, July 1st, no, just even if it's February or if it's April or if it's October, there's something very important. You've got to do some proactive planning for that unique year, okay? I've met with a few people already in 2022 that have said, I'm going to be retiring later this year. And I've told both of them this advice to make sure they do in the year that they retire. I told both of them, make sure that you maximize your contributions to your 401k during this partial year. Why is that important? Because 401ks or retirement plans through work can only be contributed to from payroll, okay? Payroll deferrals. And I was even meeting with an individual who's retiring in April, and I said, hey, make sure that you do everything you can to maximize your contribution to the 401k. And he said, well, I'll just, I'll see how cash flow is, and then, right before I retire, I'll just write a check and contribute the maximum. No, you can't do that. It's got to be payroll deferral. It's got to come out of your paycheck. So why is this something that I would emphasize to you to consider with your CFP in the year you retire, that partial year? Because this is your last opportunity to get money into these tax shelters. Like I said, in order to contribute to a 401k or a 403b or a simple IRA, you can only make those contributions from your paycheck. And when you retire, that paycheck stops, so you can't contribute anymore. I would also add, and I shared this with these two folks, is this is your last year likely to contribute to an IRA or typically a Roth IRA unless you have a spouse that's still working after you retire. Because just like the 401k, even though those contributions need to come right out of your paycheck, you've got to have earnings. You've got to have earned income, okay? Got to have earned income in order to contribute to an IRA or a Roth IRA. And because this is the year that you're retiring, but you still have some income, you're going to want to make sure that you fully fund those tax shelters. For the rest of your life, you'll be strategizing on how to pull dollars out of those tax shelters, or maybe do Roth conversion, shifting dollars from one tax shelter to another. This is your last opportunity to put money into those tax shelters, so maximize it. Now, a couple of things to consider with this. And the first, obviously, we've got to work through this idea with your certified financial planner, okay? But number one, the first issue you might need to be aware of is, hey, I'm retiring in March. It would take all of my paycheck. I'd have to contribute 100% directly into my 401k in order to try to maximize that. Well, yeah, work with your CFP and see if that makes sense. For both of these individuals, they both had a decent amount in cash, and the planning had been that when you retire, let's delay Social Security a little bit, live on some of those that cash, or live on that inheritance, or live on some of these other dollars before we start Social Security and start drawing dollars out of your retirement accounts. Well, great. If it takes the majority of your income majority of your paycheck to go into the 401k to get as much money in there as possible, then it's possible you work with your CFP and you start your retirement income plan early. You start your retirement income plan even when you're still working because you've got the majority of your paycheck going into the 401k. Obviously, there's a lot that you've got to analyze here, but we've seen this work a lot. The second issue that I'd point out is maybe the type of 401k that you're contributing to needs to shift in this last year, in that partial year. Think about this. If you're working a full year and you get a bonus and all that sort of stuff, and based on your situation, it makes sense to fully fund your 401k or 403b or whatever, fully fund your retirement account pre-tax. Well, now in a partial year, you are only going to have partial income. And based on your tax situation, maybe you should contribute the maximum amount or as much as you can into the Roth 401k, right? So be aware that not only is this something you need to work on with your CFP, that, yeah, should I take my contribution limit or my contribution elections from 10% or 15% up to 50 or 60% so I can maximize it. You might also be discussing, well, instead of doing pre-tax, should you do Roth? Or, and it just depends on the situation, instead of doing Roth, should you do pre-tax, right? Just be aware that you might want to shift the type of contribution you're making into the 401k. And then the final thing to point is, if you're going to be doing this, depending on the rest of your financial plan and retirement plan, you may want to shift what investment you're contributing into as well. It may make sense because the market's volatile. Make sure those contributions are going as aggressive as they can. Or maybe you're looking and saying, let's contribute all into this one area that we don't have a lot of. Or maybe, depending on your plan, these are some of the first dollars that you're going to be drawing right back out of once you officially retire. So you should be contributing as much as you can to that 401k, but have it go low risk, right? So work with your CFP, see if you need to change what investments these new contributions are going into. So in the year you retire, this is the last year, unless you're miserable in retirement, you get a side hustle, you go back to work, you do something part-time, likely for many of you, it's going to be the last time you've got earned income. And earned income gives you the opportunity to contribute up to the 401k contribution limits, which is $20,500 for this year, plus another $6,500 catch up, so $27,000, or $6,000 to an IRA or Roth IRA combo with another $1,000 catch up, so $7,000 total. It's your last year that you're going to have that earned income, which qualifies you to contribute to one of those, whichever ones you're eligible for. Work with your CFP. See if this is the time where hopefully you're not throwing a Hail Mary and say, well, in order to retire, this is what I have to do. Hopefully this helps with your retirement plan, but it's more so a tax planning strategy. This is your last opportunity to stuff dollars into tax shelters. You'll be spending the rest of your life strategizing when and how to pull dollars out of these tax shelters. So work with your CFP. See if this makes sense. If you're contributing a massive amount and this disrupts cash flow, see what adjustments you could make there. See if you should be changing, whether you should do pre-tax or Roth, and changing which investment option you are contributing into. That's a lot. That's why we always recommend doing comprehensive financial planning. That's where you'll get that guidance from. If you don't have a CFP on your team that can help you with that, you can always contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.